Hey guys, it's Mr. Riz, and we're going to be going through p.1, which is graphs and models. This is our first practice section. So what you guys will find out in these video notes, you won't actually find in the first chapter, the P chapter, too many notes, since most of this stuff is just review from pre-calculus and before. Most of this is just going to be helpful hints to get you through the homework. So I'm going to kind of go through each section of the homework, maybe do an example problem of each, just to kind of help you through any of the more difficult ones. Now this will be for the whole chapter, even though we'll be spending a couple days on this. This video you can use throughout all of it, so you can watch it over again. More thing. These videos are useful pretty much for homework help, so if you get stuck on anything, try to watch the video again, try to see how we do a problem. We'll go over more stuff in class. Alright, so first thing we'll just talk about several types of graphs that you guys should already know what they look like. There's some more on here, but these are some simple ones. First you need to know what the linear ones, and the equation looks like y equals mx plus b, and the graph is a straight line. Like so. Alright, next one, quadratic, several different ways, but we're just going to know it as y equals x squared, and that makes a loop. Then we got cubic equations. Those are simply y equals x cubed, and those ones start negative, go positive. Then we got our trig functions, which are several. There's the sine, cosine, and tangent. Well, those graphs are wavy graphs. And lastly, we got circle, which there's several. The formula is a little bit more complex, but x squared plus y squared equals r squared, and obviously those make circles. So there's some other ones, absolute values, which we'll kind of talk about, but we won't get into too detail. There's a lot of little tricks you have to be careful with absolute value. One thing about circles, you have to be careful with the square roots, as those are different than square root graphs. So make sure you guys can match those up. Alright, we're actually going to move on quite a bit. Next thing we'll talk about are intercepts. Okay, so we'll talk about intercepts right here. Intercepts are pretty simple, but the biggest thing you have to remember, there's two types. So here's an example problem. Find any intercepts of y equals x times radical 16 minus x squared. Well, first let's go with the easy intercept, which is the y-intercept. The y-intercept's when x equals 0, and we always put it at the point 0, comma b, whatever that is. So we'll go through and figure out that. Alright, so let's set x equal to 0. And we get, okay, y equals 0 radical 16 minus 0 squared. So we have, basically because of that, it's going to be at the point 0. So we have a y-intercept at 0, 0, right at the origin. Alright, now the x-intercept is a little bit more confusing, a little bit more difficult, but it's not really that bad. The x-intercept's when y equals 0, and we put it at the point a comma 0. Now the one thing about that, when we do that, we get 0 equals x radical 16 minus x squared. These problems are a little bit harder because you have to figure out, okay, what values of x could make the equation equal to 0. So we split it up into two problems. First one, okay, x equals 0. That's already solved, and just like before, we know one of the intercepts is going to be at 0, 0. The other one is going to be, we don't care about the square root, just 16 minus x squared equals 0. And so that's 16 equals x squared. And so that means when x equals plus or minus 4. There are two answers there, so there's one at 4, 0, and another one at negative 4, 0. Alright, so be careful with those. Remember, what you want to also do, the tough ones are the fractions, and you only want to look at the numerator, and you just want to check the denominator for points of discontinuity, which we'll get into later, but really just check the numerator on fractions. Alright, next thing we need to talk about symmetry. With symmetry, what we're looking for are equivalent equations. And so that's simply just put, there's three different types of symmetry we're going to check for: y-axis, x-axis, and origin. Now y-axis, we have, what we do is take x to negative x to see if it's equivalent. X-axis is just the opposite. We have the y changes to negative y, and origin is a combination of the two. We got negative x and negative y. So we'll do an equation here. Let's do negative, let's do y equals 2x cubed minus x. So we're going to check for origin, our symmetry with respect to the origin and to the x and y axis. So here we go. The y-axis, we're going to change it to a negative x and see if that equation changes at all. So we get, hold on a sec. Alright, so the y-axis, we're going to change it to negative x. So we get y equals 2 times negative x cubed minus negative x. So what we have, the negative, when we cube a negative, it still is negative, so really this is y equals negative 2x cubed plus x. No matter what we do or what we factor out, there's no way to make this the same as that. So there is no symmetry on the y-axis. We'll try the x-axis again, so we're going to change it to negative y. So we got negative y equals 2x cubed minus x. So if we want to make that a positive y, we change all the signs, and basically we get the exact same thing as the y-axis symmetry test, which is not the same. So x-axis symmetry, no bueno. Last thing what we're going to do is try the origin. So we're going to change that to negative y equals 2 times negative x cubed minus a negative x. So we get negative y equals a negative x cubed plus x. Now if we need to change this negative y, we flip all the signs, and we get y equals 2x cubed minus x, which is the exact same thing as what we started with. So there is symmetry with respect to the origin. So there's symmetry. Just be careful with your squares and your cubes and your radicals. It's pretty easy. Alright, moving on. Most of the rest of the section you guys should be really well with. I just want to show you guys how to graph using the graphing calculator on the iPad. Now the app you guys have might be called a little bit different than mine, but it's this one right here. I think yours is the free graph calculator. It's very simple to use. First, well, all you need to do is open the app. When you do that, you'll get like a calculator that comes up. What you want to do is press equations first. Just like on a TI-83, you got to press the y equals button before you graph. Press equations first. That will open up another screen. You'll get 4 equations that you can put in. Now that's the one thing, the iPad can only hold 4 equations, and all you need to do is just tap on the equation and type it in. When we move on throughout the later on in the year, there will be more different ways. So you just type in the equations. They're pretty much exactly like the TI-83 when typing it in. Once you get them all typed in, you'll press graph, and you'll get something that looks like this. Now the one thing that's really nice about this and then TI-83, it's very, very simple just to, pinch and zoom in, zoom out, and you get some really good windows. So if we're trying to find the intersection points, you can kind of see here. If we're trying to find the zeros of the functions, the intercepts, we go there. Well, you can also pick on the table down in the corner to see what it is. Now the one thing, if you double tap twice, sometimes you got to triple tap, you will get options like the calc function on a TI-83, and you'll have different things like find the roots, find the intersections, find mins and maxes, and just trace the calculator. So if you need to find intersections, do that. Roots are intercepts, and min and maxes we'll get into later when we start doing derivatives. But all you need to do is double tap that. It's very simple. This should be an easy chapter. I just kind of want to show you guys this video so you guys kind of get the idea. Try to select some harder problems to go over, and so you guys can go back to the video when you're not in class and just watch this for some help. Well, that's that. The next video will be section 2, which we actually start in a couple days. Alright, if you need any help, watch the video or come see me. Alright, good luck.